Juan Mejia, and we also have Deputy District Attorney Amy Wilton and Deputy District Attorney Lara Basan, who have worked in this case. I'm going to say a few words in English, and I'll say this, do the Spanish version of it, and then we'll open it up for any questions we have after we have Ms. Agers and Mr. Coleman speak. Today, as we have done in the last couple of years, we come back in front of you again to right the wrongs of the past. In 2003, Mr. Coleman was 20 years old and Mr. Soto was only 15 when a drive-by shooting resulted in the death of Jose Robles in South LA. Mr. Soto was arrested and charged for Mr. Robles' murder, and Mr. Coleman was arrested and charged as a driver in this drive-by incident. In 2007, the trial court sentenced Mr. Soto to a staggering 72 years to life, and the jury convicted him despite the fact that no one could identify the shooter at the time of the shooting. Mr. Coleman was sentenced to 25 years to life. The witness that identified Mr. Coleman as the driver recanted his trial testimony in January of 2023, stating that he had never actually seen Mr. Coleman driving the van. From the beginning, Mr. Coleman and Mr. Soto maintained their innocence, declaring it through every stage of the litigation. Both men languished in prison for 2 decades, and last year their attorneys, Ellen Yeager, submitted claims of innocence to my office on behalf of Mr. Soto and Mr. Coleman. Our post-conviction investigation uncovered evidence of the actual shooter identity and confessions to the crime. After a thorough review of the evidence presented at trial, along with new evidence that Ms. Agers and our habeas corpus litigation team uncovered, my office lost the confidence in Mr. Soto and Mr. Coleman's conviction in these cases. Both men were wrongfully convicted through Ms. Agers requested the court vacate the convictions and dismiss the cases and release Mr. Soto and Mr. Coleman from prison. On January 19th, LA County Superior Court Judge Ryan granted our joint petition for a writ of habeas corpus for Mr. Soto, and yesterday Judge Ryan granted our motion finding of factual innocence on behalf of Mr. Coleman. I want to recognize the collective work of Ms. Agers, Deputy District Attorney Lara Basan, our habeas corp litigation team, and our conviction integrity unit, and the Bureau of Investigation's dedication to the truth-seeking has brought us up to this pivotal moment. There's significant danger that comes with convicting the wrong person. It's a deep loss not only to the two men who lost years of their life for a crime that they did not commit, but it's also a stain on the justice system, and we also fail the victim, in this case Mr. Robles and his family. It also leaves the true perpetrators free to inflict further harm upon the community. I extend my deepest apologies to Mr. Soto and Mr. Coleman, who were very young when their nightmare began for them and their families. The gravity of the situation is not lost on us, and we hope that being exonerated provides Mr. Soto and Mr. Coleman with some resemblance or some semblance of comfort as they embark on a new life. I also want to acknowledge the profound grief that still hangs over the family of Jose Robles, who lost his life in the shooting and whose actual killer has not yet been held accountable. This case is a tragedy in many proportions, and our duty is not only to correct the wrong of the past, but to ensure that fairness prevails and that we learn from our past mistakes. Exonerating individuals is not a declaration of defeat, it's a victory for justice. I'm proud to say that this is my office's 9th and 10th exoneration since I became the district attorney. The path to justice is evolving in the journey, and I'm honored to lead an office that embraces this evolution completely. I'm going to say a few words in Spanish next, and then I'll turn it over to Ms. Agers. Buenas tardes a todos por estar aquí. Estamos aquí hoy para corregir errores que plagaron las vidas de dos hombres inocentes y sus familias durante 2 décadas. En el 2003, el señor Coleman, de 20 años, y el señor Soto, de 15 años, fueron acusados cuando un tiroteo desde un vehículo resultó en la trágica muerte del señor José Robles del sur de Los Ángeles. El señor Soto fue arrestado y acusado de asesinato, y el señor Robles y el señor Coleman fueron arrestados y acusados de ser, y el señor Coleman fue arrestado y acusado de ser el conductor del auto. En el 2007, un tribunal condenó al señor Soto de pena de 72 años y 8 meses a cadena perpetua. El jurado condenó a pesar de que nadie pudo identificar quién era el tirador. El señor Coleman fue sentenciado a 25 años a vida. El testigo que identificó al señor Coleman como conductor retractó su testimonio del juicio en enero del 2023, declarando que nunca había sido visto realmente al señor Coleman conduciendo el auto. Desde el principio, el señor Coleman y el señor Soto mantuvieron su inocencia, declarando en cada etapa de su terrible viaje que eran inocentes. Ambos hombres estuvieron en la prisión más de 2 décadas. El año pasado, su abogada Ellen Eggers presentó reclamaciones de inocencia a mi oficina en el nombre del señor Soto y del señor Coleman. Las investigaciones de la unidad de postcondena descubrieron evidencia que la identidad del verdadero tirador y confesiones del crimen que señalan a otra persona. Después de una revisión de la evidencia presentada en el juicio, junto con la nueva evidencia que la señora Eggers y mi equipo presentaron, mi oficina perdió la confianza en las condenas del señor Soto y del señor Coleman. Mi oficina y ambos hombres injustamente condenados a través de la señora Eggers solicitaron que el tribunal anulara las condenas, desestimara los casos y liberara al señor Soto y al señor Coleman de la prisión. El día 19 de enero, el juez de la Corte Suprema del Condado, de la Corte Superior del Condado de Los Ángeles, el señor Williams, concedió nuestra petición conjunta para un auto de habeas corpus para el señor Soto, y ayer el juez Ryan concedió nuestra moción para el hallazgo de inocencia completa del señor Coleman. Quiero reconocer el esfuerzo colectivo de la señora Eggers y la fiscal adjunta del distrito Lara Bazán, nuestro equipo de litigación de habeas corpus, nuestra unidad de integridad de convicciones y nuestra oficina de investigaciones, cuya dedicación a la búsqueda de la verdad nos han traído a este lugar hoy. Existe un peligro significado que viene con condenar a una persona equivocada. Es una pérdida profunda no solo para aquellos hombres que fueron condenados y eran inocentes, pero también es una mancha en el sistema judicial y impacta a la familia y la persona que es la víctima. También el que verdaderamente cometió, o los que cometieron el asesinato, todavía están libres en la calle. Le pido disculpas al señor Soto y al señor Coleman, que eran muy jóvenes cuando fueron condenados, por su pesadilla, y a sus familias. La gravedad de nuestra situación no nos escapa y esperamos que ser exonerado brinde al señor Soto y al señor Coleman algo resemblante al consuelo mientras que embarcan en sus nuevas vidas. También quiero reconocer el profundo dolor que pesa sobre la familia Robles, que perdió la vida el señor Robles, que perdió la vida en este tiroteo y cuyo verdadero asesino aún no ha sido llevado a la justicia. Este caso es una tragedia de muchas proporciones y nuestro deber no es solo corregir los errores del pasado, sino asegurar que la justicia prevalezca y que aprendamos de los errores del pasado. Exonerar a una persona no es una declaración de derrota, es una victoria para la justicia. Me orgullece decir que estas son la 9ª y la 10ª exoneración desde que me convertí en el fiscal del distrito de Los Ángeles. El camino de la justicia es un viaje de evolución y me siento honrado de liderar una oficina que abraza esta evolución con todo corazón. I'm going to turn it over now to Ms. Agers, and then Mr. Coleman will speak, and thereafter we'll entertain any questions that you may have. Ms. Agers. Oh, there you go.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gascón. I have to pull it together here. For a seasoned defense attorney, I'm kind of losing it up here. I have to say my heart is just filled with so much love for the people in this room. My clients are heroes, and I love them both so much. Jessica Jacobs was the gal who called me up out of the blue and said, I want to do what you're doing. And I was like, well, I don't get paid for this. And she said, I don't want to get paid either. And the rest was history, pretty much. I said, well, I've got some cases that I haven't been able to get to. And I said, would you like to read a file and get started, take a look at this? And before too long, she was saying, and this was Mr. Coleman's file because he had written to me for help. And at the time, I couldn't get to it. There was a stack of letters waiting for me. And after not too long, Jessica said, Ellen, I think both of these guys are innocent. They weren't even tried together. They were separate cases. But she said, I think Joe Fama's innocent, and I think Abel Soto's innocent, too. And over time, she was saying, wouldn't it be something if we could get both of these guys out? They're both innocent. And, the story's a long one, so I won't go into the details, but the people who really finished this case and made it happen, and this brings tears to my eyes too, and this is, when I talk about the love in the room, I'm talking about D.A. Gascón, and I'm talking about his wonderful appointee as head deputy, Juan Mejia, who worked with me to free Frankie Carrillo, who is running for assembly. Back in 2011, Frankie had spent 20 years in prison for a murder out of Los Angeles that he had nothing to do with. So I want to thank Juan Mejia. I want to thank Diana Terone. I want to thank Amy Wilton in the habeas litigation unit also. And I especially want to give great credit to this wonderful Deputy DA, Laura Bazan. Working with her, I felt I really had a partner. And I've practiced law for many years, and I look forward to the day when the defense and the prosecution could work together to bring justice to innocent people, because we do not make society safer by locking up the wrong people. Abel Soto is such a great spirit. He always has a smile on his face. There it is. He has a fabulous large family. They had a terrible tragedy in their family when Mr. Soto's oldest son, Juan Ramon, was gunned down at the age of 17, and Abel was a 12-year-old then. And that changed the whole course of his life. It didn't turn him into a killer, however. He could have sought revenge when he got older, but that's not what he did. And yet he was wrongfully convicted of murder also. Abel is just a tremendous human being. I don't know how he kept his spirit up and his head high and his belief in God and family, but it worked for him. And that's why he's a hero to me. And of course, Joe Fama Coleman pretty much solved the case on his own. And when Jessica got involved in the case, they collaborated and compared notes and really gave such a great head start to me, so that by the time I got the case, there wasn't that much to do, honestly. So it's been an honor to work with all of the team, and I include the DA's office. And I'd also like just to give a thank you to Anne Marie McCrae, who is sitting in the audience. She's a volunteer. She's actually an attorney from Great Britain, but not an attorney here, but she volunteered many, many hours on both of these cases. And also the woman sitting next to her, who is Laura Simon Jimenez, and her husband, Arturo Jimenez, is another exoneree. They were just married a couple years ago. So there were a lot of people that put time and effort into this case, and I also want to give a shout out through my sniffles with Megan Baca. Thank you all. It was a tremendous effort on the part of so many people, and I'm just honored to do this work. Thank you.
Mr. Coleman?
No. All right, I've prepared a speech. So therefore, here we go. All right, so thank you for being here today to listen to my story and Abel's story. My journey has been one of unimaginable hardship, but it is also a testament to the strength of human spirit, the power of resilience, and the unwavering support of those who believed in justice. I found myself incarcerated for a crime I did not commit. The weight of that injustice was a burden that I carried every day, but refused to let it define me. Behind prison walls, I faced challenges that tested my resolve, but with determination and the support of remarkable individuals and organizations, I emerged victorious. I want to express my deepest gratitude to the Los Angeles Habeas Corpus Litigation Unit, the California Innocence Advocates, Jessica Jacobs, and her dedicated students from Ditch School, as well as Ellen Eggers. Their relentless pursuit of justice, their tireless efforts, and their unwavering belief in my innocence have given me a chance of life. We must not be mere spectators of justice, but active advocates, intertwining our voices and actions to mend the threads of injustice. The tale of my wrongful incarceration is not a solitary chapter. It echoes the silent sufferings of others. Let this not be a fleeting narrative, a momentary blimp or bleep in the media's consciousness, only to fade into obscurity. We must instead etch it into our collective memories. The Los Angeles County Habeas Corpus Litigation Unit stands as a beacon of hope, a force of truth in the face of wrongful convictions. Its reach should expand, its roots digging deeper into the soul of justice. The California Innocent Advocates, with their unwavering commitment, deserve our support. Let our generosity be the catalyst of their continued fight against the shadows of injustice. The call echoes donate, advocate, and ensure these champions of justice have the resources they need to unearth truth and deliver those wrongfully imprisoned back into the light. To safeguard the beacon, we must champion individuals like George Gascón and those at the Habeas Corpus Litigation Unit who stand as guardians of justice. Let us demand not just their presence, but their empowerment to navigate the complex maze of our legal system. Their dedication should be fortified, their voices amplified. In this symphony of justice, let us be the choir, harmonizing for the forgotten, demanding a system of fairness and compassion. Together, let us work towards a system that upholds the principles of fairness and ensures that no one else suffers the agonizing ordeal that I and my partner has gone through. So, thank you. That was tough.
Okay, I think I'm going to hire Mr. Coleman to be my speechwriter. Great work. Any questions from anyone? Yes.
I have a question for these two guys. How do you feel that the system fell to us and the system used false witnesses against you, and they do not only destroy your lives, but your family, your mother, your father, and everybody else? What do you think about the legal system that is almost corrupted here in the United States?
Yes, step up to the, if you're going to talk, come up here, if you are.
Dang, I shouldn't have opened my mouth. So honestly, for a long time, I actually had a lot of resentment towards the people who testified against me falsely. It wasn't until one of these individuals grew up and developed a conscience, or whatever it may be, and actually told the truth. And for some reason, like, all the resentment I had towards this individual it was just lifted, because his recantation gave me real hope. And when my team started fighting for me, I really believed that I was actually going to get out. So although I had a lot of resentment towards the system and the people who falsely accused me, for some reason I just kind of let it go, because if I allow it to anchor me, it's just going to impair my own success. What else? What else? Maybe I'll become an attorney.
That exonerated you.
Huh?
What was the evidence presented in order to be free now?
There's different pieces of evidence. It was a collective information that helped establish my innocence. Audio recordings, video recordings, recantations, things of that sort.
What are your plans now?
She'll speak to it.
What are the plans for you once you have a new life?
I would like to become an attorney and help other innocent people in prison. Yeah. But one thing I did want to note, since I'm here, conquering my fears, so I went through a very tough hardship, right? And I reached out to several organizations and just got turned down. The process in which the habeas corpus litigation unit is entertaining with the court, George Gascón, it's very effective. And I think this specific process should serve as a blueprint for every courthouse moving forward in California, because it's very effective. So that's it for right now.
Okay, any other questions? Oh, you want to say, ¿quiere decir algo, señor Soto?
No, well, I wasn't planning to talk. I'm pretty much a very reserved person, but I'm gonna say it in Spanish. Sobre todo le quiero dar gracias a mi familia. Sin ellos nunca hubiera pasado esto. Pasar por algo así es muy difícil, y sin el soporte y el amor de mi familia nunca lo hubiera hecho. Y no más de estar aquí y tener la oportunidad de estar enfrente de ustedes, y para que la gente que todavía está encerrada, que estuvo en mi situación, para que miren que sí se puede, que gente como ellos y como Ellen están haciendo su trabajo, el trabajo que necesitamos para la gente que está encerrada, que no debe nada, que sepan que un día ojalá pronto puedan estar aquí también.
Para la gente que todavía está encerrada, ¿cuántos casos tuviste tú de gente que dice soy inocente y todavía están en las cárceles?
Pues un número específico no tengo, pero estando encerrado mucha gente tiende a decir que no hicieron el crimen o esto el otro, pero gente en mi situación, y estoy seguro que él puede decir lo mismo, cuando habla uno con alguien que de veramente no hizo el crimen por el que está encerrado, uno lo nota, uno que está en el mismo lugar lo nota, y no, es triste verlo, pero como dijimos, gracias a todo el trabajo que están haciendo ellos, ojalá podamos atraer toda la gente que no debe nada, que ojalá puedan disfrutar su familia como lo estoy ya ni puedo hablar bien, pues puedan disfrutar a sus familias como lo estoy haciendo yo, y nomás estar feliz y dar gracias. Oh, it's great. It's great.
I'll tell you one thing, and make sure appreciate all the smaller things.
Yeah, I mean, you guys that have been out here that ain't never really done time, like in jail, you really learn how to appreciate all the little things, and so being out here, all the little things that people might overlook or whatever, like it means the world to us, and everything is just great out here.
Yeah. I have a grown.
Oh, well, both our first meals, we had them with this great lady right here. Our first meal home. For me personally, I had Mexican foods. I had chile rellenos. What'd you have?
Total opposite barbecue food. Didn't have the good though. Yeah, they were both great though.
Yeah, but it's good. It's happy.
So one crazy experience. I went to a restaurant and went to the restroom.
Oh, the water didn't work for you?
So I'm looking for the little spout to wash my hands. Couldn't find it. Was getting anxiety, a little nervous. I'm like, where's the spout? I accidentally dropped my hand under the spout, and it went off, and I jumped. I'm like, whoa, what was that? So it's like, oh, everything's hands-free now. And I'm like, okay, here we go. All right. So a bunch of weird experiences, but I'm enjoying every moment. You know.
No.
Have a 19-year-old daughter that I treat like she's 2, so I know she's tired of me. Yeah.
A question for the DA. How do you feel that for many decades, black and brown people were sending a massive incarceration of black and brown people, and finally they are finding someone who's really fighting for them, along with the California Innocence Project?
Well, I mean, look, no, this is not a one-person show, right? You see the men and women to my right, and you see obviously Ms. Egger and Ms. Jacobs and so many others that are here, like Megan. It takes all of us, right? What is really disturbing to me is when we look at these cases and we start evaluating the evidence and we realize how people are convicted with such a flimsy, evidence with really questionable approaches to both the arrest and the prosecution, and then we send people to prison for decades. It's very, very disturbing to me. And I know that often people say, hindsight is always 20/20. We have the benefit of looking back at all the mistakes. But what we often see in this case is that we see that there were a lot of pointers. There was a lot of evidence to show that these cases should never have moved forward, but they did. And they did because of the way the system was created to almost win at all cost. And that is a concept that I believe that we must, as a society, remove from the criminal legal system. There is no winning when we convict the wrong person. Each and every time that we have come here and stand in front of you to talk about one of those exonerations, we also know that the real culprits are still out there. Or maybe they're in prison now in another case, but often they're still out there. I still think every day about Mr. Maurice Hastings. He went to prison for nearly 4 decades for murder and rape that he did not commit. The men that actually committed the murder and rape went on to rape other women, right? So this is a disservice to our entire community, and I believe that those of us that have the sacred responsibility for ensuring that justice is applied, and I say justice with capital letters, we have an obligation to understand that our job is not to win. Our job is to seek the truth, wherever that truth takes us. And we see that in each of these cases, and those cases are no different. When you begin to peel the tiers of the work, you see that there was so many indicators that really pointed in a different direction, and yet we as a system move forward and, quite frankly, fought really hard to ensure that the wrong person was prosecuted and convicted. So for me, it's a call to action that we all continue to do this work, because the safety of our community actually depends on ensuring that when we move forward with a prosecution, that we're very certain that the person that we're prosecuting actually committed the crime that is being alleged. But anyway.
Are there any plans on reopening the case that these 2 gentlemen were wrongfully accused of?
Yeah, the case is being investigated. We actually believe that we have identified the assailants in this case, and I'm hoping that there will be a presentation of that case in the weeks to come from the Sheriff's Department, that we actually would be able to prosecute the real murderers.
Are they in custody?
I don't want to talk about a great deal because I don't want to do anything to compromise the case. Let's just say that we're fairly convinced that we know who actually committed the murder, And hopefully we'll have a press conference for you all maybe in a few months when the case is filed. Thank you so much, everyone.
Sí.
Super hard on this.